It's time for another edition of Cowboys Special Edition, brought to you by AT&T. Bill Jones, along with Nate Newton, Bucky Brooks, and Isaiah Stanback. Yes, we are now just over 2 weeks away from the start of this NFL season. The Cowboys will be playing at that new stadium in L.A. against the Rams, kick off the home season the following week against the Atlanta Falcons on September 20th. But to kick things off, let's go around the horn. We actually have Cowboys night at the stadium on Sunday at 5 o'clock, and it's getting closer and closer, Isaiah.
Absolutely. The season is approaching quickly. Obviously, we're 2 weeks out. I'm excited about seeing what these boys are going to do. There's obviously a lot of questions that are out there. We're not able to see a whole lot of things right now. There is no preseason. So these scrimmages and these nights are going to be very important for a lot of guys on this roster.
Isaiah, you talk about the importance of the scrimmage. This would, in essence, be the third preseason game. This is why we're seeing the teams ramp up. There's a level of seriousness to the way that they're approaching practices and going about evaluating personnel. This scrimmage this weekend is important.
This scrimmage coming up, fellas, I'm excited because we'll see who will line up at first team and how they will rotate these players in and out to see what type of reps and what type of competition is really set up.
Of course, there's been news made around the league. In fact, this past week started off with Earl Thomas being released by the Baltimore Ravens. The safety position is one of the great position battles of this training camp. And let's hear what Mike McCarthy has to say about that safety position with the Cowboys.
Well, what I like the flexibility that our guys give us. I think a big part of this game is the ability to try to match up your players against your opponents. So we have a number of guys that give us a lot of flexibility back there. So I really like with Xavier and Ha and now we're working the young guy and Worley and so it's flexibility. Obviously Cheeto going back there some. I'm always looking at that group from a number standpoint because it's a long year. I think ideally. Everybody wants to fill out their depth chart and put down 11 players. To me, that's just not the way this league works. You need all those guys.
So let's assess where the Cowboys are at safety as we are 2 weeks away from the season opener. Of course, with Xavier Woods, a returning starter. You got Clinton Dix, who was signed in free agency. Darian Thompson is back with the team. You got rookies, Reggie Robinson contending for playing time. Donovan Wilson from the past, even Darryl Worley, a cornerback, playing some safety as well. Where do you think we are, Isaiah?
Well, obviously, it's crazy times. I think we have one clear lock at the safety position, and that's obviously Xavier Woods. Aside from that, it's going to be a competition of who's the most versatile. All right, who can really take on this new system and who can go out there, come down, cover a safety. I'm not going to come down, cover a tight end, play the safety position, and have some range on the field. So it's going to be very interesting. As you already alluded to, a lot of corners are running around. There's a lot of rotation here. So I'm looking forward to see what ends up coming out of this Sunday night.
Isaiah, to my surprise, Darian Thompson is running with the ones. And there was a lot of expectation that Clinton Dix was going to be the starter. But when you go back and you dig into Darian Thompson's background, you have to remember, coming out of college, he had 19 career interceptions, tied Eric Weddle for the most by a player in the Mountain West Conference. And for Mike Nolan, the emphasis on takeaways puts Thompson in a position where he really could secure this job. Great instincts, great ball skills, has bounced around a little bit, but this could be the perfect spot for him to get a big opportunity.
And when I watched practice a few times this past week, fellas, they do not hesitate to bring in that rotation. They will put in Worley. They will put in Reggie, the young kid, Reggie Robinson. They are doing a lot of great things out there, man. But I'm telling you, look out for Darian Thompson.
Darian Thompson, and look out for Xavier Woods as well. It's a contract year for Xavier, the returning starter at safety. Of course, Jeff Heath has moved on to the Las Vegas Raiders. It's going to be interesting to see who is out there when the Cowboys take on the Rams in the season opener. It's also going to be interesting what happens with this offensive line. The Cowboys dealing with some injury issues and tackle. We talk about that and much more when Cowboys Special Edition, brought to you by AT&T, continues.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Salvation Army. Doing the most good. And by AT&T. This segment is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Play the new Sevens scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery. With top prizes up to $977,000. There's a Sevens scratch ticket for everyone. So play today.
Special edition brought to you by AT&T continues as we take a look at this Cowboys offensive line, which has been beset by some injuries here through the first couple of weeks of training camp. Tyron Smith's been out here this past week. Nursing an injury. Lyle Collins throughout from the start of camp. Even Cameron Irving, who was picked up in the offseason from the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's start with you, Nate. What are you seeing in that offensive line, especially at the tackle position?
They're a little bit weak, and I hate to say that, but, you know, it's hard to find good tackles. You know, they got Terrence Steele at one of them, Mitch Hyde at the other, backing up, and they got Brandon Knight that comes in and does a little bit. But you know what, fellas, we cannot afford to lose Lyle Collins or Tyron Smith for a long period of time. That we will be in trouble.
Yeah, look, depth is a concern, and that was why they went out and signed Cameron Irving. And for all of his flaws, he's a guy that has started a ton of games in this league, was a critical part of the Kansas City Chiefs starting at left tackle when they had some injuries and helping them to a Super Bowl run. And so even though he's imperfect, he is a solid backup, and you're hoping that he doesn't get on the field. But if he does get on the field, he does have experience and he can play anywhere along that offensive line.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with you guys, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned that these guys aren't getting the practice reps that are really required without a preseason being in place. And as you guys already alluded to, we can't afford to lose Collins. We can't afford to lose Smith. Should these guys go down, there's going to be a huge question mark on that line, and you can't have a question mark when you're trying to protect number 4.
And I appreciate your kindness, Bucky, on Cam Irving. That is very kind. Yeah, you stated that perfectly.
Hey, he is a critical player because he's the most important player on that offensive line because we have seen the injury history with Tyron Smith. If something happens to Collins, Irving has to play. We saw years ago when Cameron Fleming had to play. It didn't work out well. You're hoping that Irving can just be solid. He doesn't need to be great. Can he be solid if he has an opportunity to play?
All right, let me ask you, Nate, how concerning is it with the tackles, especially Lyle Collins, where we haven't seen him out there in team drills so much in camp? How much do you need as we're 2 weeks away from the first game against the Rams from an offensive lineman's perspective?
He's a veteran guy. You know, all he needs to do is be able to get his cadence down and work a little bit with his right guard, Zach Martin. If he can get in there and get a few days rep against Irvin and Alden Smith, guys like that right there, he should be all right because it's going to be an adventure for everybody with this pandemic. It's offensive lineman, wide receiver, it don't matter. It's going to be a 3 or 4 game adjustment for everybody.
And, of course, the Cowboys have a new offensive line coach this year, Joe Philbin, a veteran guy who has a past history with the Packers, and Mike McCarthy, one of the more respected offensive line coaches in the National Football League. We continue Cowboys Special Edition brought to you by AT&T. In just a moment, we take a look at those veteran newcomers at edge rusher on this Dallas defense.
This segment was brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Play the new Sevens scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery. With top prizes up to $977,000. There's a Sevens scratch ticket for everyone. So play today. This segment is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas.
I don't know if I told any of the guys, but I was just thinking in my head, you know, it's been a long road, and being back on the field after that much time off, it was a blessing, and it was a little surreal, but I was very prepared and just excited to go out there and put things together.
You know, on the defensive side, you know, we're stacked. D-Law, Alden, me. We got a lot of good guys on that side of the ball, and, you know, we're just excited to play football and excited to, you know, win. You know, that's our main objective is to win here.
Auto Nation bringing you the sounds of Cowboys training camp at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. Yes, the veteran pass rushers added to this team in the offseason. Everson Griffin from the Vikings, Aldon Smith out of football the last 5 years and making an impression in this camp. Let's go around the horn. And Bucky, let's start with you. And just what kind of impact are you expecting from Aldon Smith and Everson Griffin?
Oh, I think they will make a major impact. I'll start with Everson Griffin because he's a guy that is a little more proven in terms of we just saw him play. Energizer Bunny, he's a guy who is outstanding with a couple of moves. Upfield rush, and then he has a counter with a spin move. Relentless competitor. He is going to be an upgrade over what Robert Quinn was a season ago. Aldon Smith is the wild card. The reports have been outstanding about what he's been able to display in practice. Now, when a guy like Aldon Smith, who has been a former All-Pro, if he can give you something off the edge, you can kick down Everson Griffin with DeMarcus Lawrence. This Dallas front could be one of the more dominant fronts that we see in the National Football League, and they also give Mike Nolan the versatility that he covets as a guy that likes to do a bunch of different things up front.
I absolutely agree with you, Buck. I mean, you talk about Everson Griffin. You talk about a veteran who's proven in his league, an all-pro guy who's a proven leader as well, coming into this organization, holding down the front on his line with some other veterans that are already in place. And I think with his size and his capabilities, he's able to go out there and do the things that we're going to need him to do, which is make plays, create pressure from the inside and the outside, no matter where Nolan puts him. And then as we go over to Aldon Smith, I think as Bucky already alluded to, he is going to be the wild card. He's a question mark because the Aldon Smith that we all remember is the 2012 Aldon Smith who had 19.5 sacks, not the 2015 Aldon Smith who didn't do that didn't repeat that same performance. So he's going to be a question mark. He has come in as substantially larger than we remember him. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to utilize him.
Well, yes, he's one of the better looking players. I've been out in practice, man. He's been exciting to watch. And like you said, Bucky, he's put on more weight. He's got heavier hands. He's stuffing tackles. Evan Griffin is playing in several different positions as well as Aldon Smith. These two guys are going to be nice to look at.
Bucky, how surprised are you that Aldon has made it back to this point?
I'm very, very surprised. It's uncommon for someone to be away from the game for 5 years and to come back and have an opportunity to make an impact. When I talk to people that worked with him with the Raiders, they talked about him being heavy-handed, that he didn't have the juice that he once had at San Francisco. But I still believe he can be a very effective player as a heavy-handed run defender on the edge. Yes, he can get to the quarterback. His ability to be stout versus the run could be a huge benefit for him being on the field for the Cowboys this season.
And, of course, on that defensive line, the Cowboys have had some injury issues already in this camp, losing Gerald McCoy at one of those inside defensive tackle spots. But they have an array of talent, especially outside at defensive end. And as Bucky pointed out, could be one of the best pass rushing units in the entire National Football League if everybody can stay healthy. When we come back here on Special Edition, brought to you by AT&T, is he the forgotten man at the wide receiver position? Young Michael Gallup is next.
This segment was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by AT&T.
I mean, when we drafted him, it's just, I'm thinking already Amari went over 1,000 yards. I went over 1,000 yards. And then you pick up one of the best wide receivers in the draft coming out. I mean, that's a three-headed monster.
AT&T brings you Cowboys Special Edition, and Nationwide brings you the player profile this week. It's Michael Gallup, one of those wide receivers that everybody is talking about, including Danny Sorek.
The Cowboys wide receiver core is a three-headed monster, at least according to Michael Gallup, and he's not wrong. Gallup, along with Amari Cooper and rookie CeeDee Lamb, are all expected to have explosive years. Gallup himself took major strides his sophomore year in the league and is on that same path heading into year 3. In 2019, Gallup proved his value on this team, surpassing 1,100 yards on 66 receptions and put up 6 touchdowns, more than doubling his rookie numbers. We saw improvements in his route running and ability to win contested throws. He averaged almost 17 yards per reception. Being the number 2 receiver behind Cooper doesn't mean Gallup doesn't have that top receiver skill. In fact, head coach Mike McCarthy would argue the complete opposite.
Let's make it clear, Michael Gallup's the number 1 receiver in my view. So, I mean, I think we're very fortunate to have three players with that level of potential to go out and play at that level.
In 2019, Gallup and Cooper elevated one another and became the first Cowboys duo to each surpass 1,000 yards since 2012. This trio, now rounded out with Lamb, believes they can all surpass 1,000 yards this season. Will they become the first trio to do so since 2008? Honestly, it's not completely unrealistic, especially when players like Gallup continue to improve as much as he already has. For Special Edition, I'm Danny Sarek.
Michael Gallup, a 1,000-yard receiver last year with the Cowboys. Isaiah, what do you expect this year? Because are there enough footballs to go around to C.D. Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup?
Well, there's definitely not enough balls to go around for him to receive another 1,000 yards. But the disrespect for everybody to not look at him like he's the number 1 receiver, because obviously his head coach does. Coach Mike McCarthy came out this week and obviously stated that he believes that Gallup is the number 1 receiver, and we're going to see what he can do. He's not going to be asked to perform as such. There's a ton of weapons around him, like you already alluded to. All he has to do is be able to catch the ball, make big plays.
You know, Isaiah, I actually think he can be a guy that has another 1,000-yard receiver, because the Cowboys' 11 personnel grouping, 1 back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers, is going to pose a problem. Heavy box, where you load it up against Zeke, one-on-one coverage on the outside. Dak Prescott could throw the ball all over the yard. I just think there are a lot of opportunities in the passing game. Michael Gallup should be a beneficiary.
You know, when I watched practice a couple of times this week, fellas, they had segments where they just featured him pass after pass. We may forget about him a little bit as fans, but I promise you, Coach McCarthy and Kellen Moore will.
It's going to be very interesting to see how that football is distributed to not only the receivers, but also Blake Jarwin and those backs coming out of the backfield, or maybe lining up in the slot as well. It's going to be exciting to watch. And when we come back here on Special Edition, how about we preview Cowboys night at AT&T Stadium on Sunday evening.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T. Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
Cowboy Special Edition brought to you by AT&T continues. Final minute or so here as we preview Cowboys night as the training camp moves over to AT&T Stadium on Sunday. A 5 o'clock scrimmage, which in Dallas-Fort Worth you can watch on TXA 21. Let's go around the horn. What are you looking for on Sunday evening, Nate?
Just how they move players around a little bit. But, you know, I want to see Blake Jarwin explode, but we know this is not a scrimmage. It's just Cowboy night, so I'm just excited that they're doing things.
We know it's just a dress rehearsal. So, Nate, I just want to see the crispness and the execution from both first teams. If they are kind of moving and syncing, playing at the tempo that we expect or that we know they need to play at when the regular season opens up in a couple weeks.
And for myself, on the offensive side of the ball, I'm looking forward to seeing what personnel groupings they go along with. Whether they do a lot of 3 wide, whether they do some 2 back. I'm looking forward to see how they mix and mingle the talent that they have on that side of the ball. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of rotation we have with this secondary.
And again, you'll be able to see it in Dallas-Fort Worth on TXA 21, 5 to 8 o'clock. And then after that on TXA 21, a replay of Super Bowl 12, the Cowboys beating the Denver Broncos. And we appreciate you joining us here for Cowboys Special Edition, brought to you by AT&T, and we will see you again next week.